Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's Harmonize to Energize, the Wednesday version, which will become the only version of Harmonize to Energize. So welcome everybody, and particular warm welcome to anyone new today for the first time. Jin Shin Jyutsu is an art of harmonizing energy through the body, and we harmonize it by placing our hands left and right of our body, left and right of the spine, placing them on what we call safety energy locks, which allow this energy, sometimes known as chi or ki, which is basically light energy, to move through resistances and blocks and harmonize left and right, up and down with our body, so that life becomes more balanced. So without further from me, let's see who today's mystery presenter is. Hello, mystery presenter. Yeah. There is today. Here is today's welcome, today's mystery presenter, Eva de Jong, from Holland or from the Netherlands. Is that what you say? Welcome, Eva.
Thank you very much, Terry. Thank you very much for your introduction. And yeah, how you explain Jin Shin Jyutsu. Wonderful. And that is what Jin Shin Jyutsu is doing. It's balancing energy, it's harmonizing. And this is meant. So I was invited to tell a story, one story from my experiences with Jin Shin Jyutsu in my practice. And shall I start now? Yes. Yeah. So welcome everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And while I'm telling my story, I would like to invite you to hold your thumb. So place your thumb in the other hand, and you can place it on your lap, on your knee, while I'm telling the story. So the story starts on a Friday, the day before I left on holiday, and the phone rang. It was an elderly man. He called me. His voice was trembling, and you really could sense his despair. He called for his wife. And his wife had been vomiting for several days after a 24-hour bout of chemotherapy. And she was receiving those bouts of chemotherapy regularly because of a pancreatic cancer. So I asked if they could come, and she was actually too weak to come to me. So I decided to go there. And because it was the day before I left on holiday, I thought I only can go once. So intuitively, I brought a massage table. So I arrived there, and it was an elderly couple in the early 70s, and both doctors. And I went in their home. I took the massage table, and we sat a moment to talk a little bit. And she was so weak that after a very short while, I said, okay, let's go to the next room. I had put a table, and it was very difficult for her to get on the table, but she wanted to get on the table. And then she lay down. I listened to her pulses. I covered her. And then I decided to do the spleen flow. So I sat down quietly. I placed my hands. And I started to give her a session. Her skin was dull and had a grayish-greenish color. And while I was giving this session, a toxic smell emanates from her body and pervades the whole room. So we sat there, she became quiet, I became quiet, and both became peaceful. So after a while, her husband opened the door and I just said, come in. And I had put a chair on the other side of the massage table. I said, please have a seat. And I suggested him to give her sessions while I was on holiday. And he accepted. So I demonstrated the spleen flow. And when I finished, he sat down, he placed his hands, and we all three became very quiet and calm. And then at one moment, they both opened their eyes and they locked gaze together. And that very moment when they looked at each other, there are no words to explain how they looked to each other. And I very quietly went up and slipped out of the room. So after quite a while, he came into the living room where I was waiting, and he came to me and he hugged me. And he was tearing and he was holding me and he said, thank you, thank you, thank you. This was a great gift. So I left, and after my holiday, I went back several times. And it was 1 year after she had passed away that he came to visit me with his daughter. And he was telling me that every single day since that day last summer, he had given her a spleen flow. One time on the left side, one time on the right side. And every time when they were doing the session, they could feel this feeling of peace and comfort. And when the session got close to an end, she mostly said, could I leave the world like this? And this had been such a wonderful experience for both of them and a great gift. And he thanked me again. So this is about the spleen flow. And the spleen flow, I would like to share a picture which really represents what the spleen flow is for me. Let's see if I can push the right button. Yes. This is what the spleen flow does. It's caring, it's protecting, it's cradling. And I have another picture. It's very comforting. It's cradling the inner child and the child. And every time you practice the spleen flow, you can, especially if you already know with the spleen flow, this is what the spleen flow can do. And of course, much more than that. So what I would like to suggest is us doing and practicing the spleen flow. So, Terry, are you ready to do the spleen flow?
Yeah, should we just stop the slide presentation or there you go.
Thank you.
And
I'm so happy. I'm so happy you are assisting me. Thank you so much. So I'm going to put letters on my hands because I don't know in your world, but in my world, left and right is really an issue. So let's see if I can do this. Okay. I know left and right is always something, especially when on Webinar Jam or on Zoom, it's always the way around. So let's start to do the spleen flow together. Place your left hand under your tailbone. And I mostly do it from the back and not from the side, from the back. And feel, can you feel your tailbone with your fingertips? The right hand is going to the right foot and the inside of the ankle, the instep of the ankle. So I put my leg over the other, like this. And if this is not possible for you, you can put your hand, your right hand, on your right inside knee, where the knees touch each other. So let's settle on the chair or on the bed. It's a pity I can't see you, so I can't see where you are, but where you are, just settle and place your awareness and your senses into your fingers. So your left hand fingers touches your tailbone and the right hand inside knee or inside of your instep, right ankle. And maybe you can close your eyes, because when we close our eyes, we can sense more easily. And Mary would say, drop your shoulders, bow your head, and be the smile. So drop your shoulders with a smile in your heart of loving kindness for your sitting body. Loving kindness is for me a synonym for the spleen flow. Kindness, mildness. It's like the arms, how a mother carry her child. It's like a lullaby. Feel your right hand or your right fingers on the instep of the right foot, on the ankle, between your ankle bone and your heel. And that's a safety energy lock, which is helping you to release fears. It's the number 5. And 5 is the number of man. It will help you to release your fears, to become who you are. The spleen flow has a relationship with the element earth. And the spleen flow is the flow which is going to nourish you, to give you and bring physical energy. So the spleen flow brings the energy from the earth up into your body. So let's move to the next step. With your right hand, you place your right hand under your left rib cage, in the middle, under your left rib cage. The screen is too small. So the right hand under the left middle of the rib cage. And actually now you have your hand, your right hand, there where the spleen energy lives. This is also a safety energy lock. And the signification is equilibrium and sustainability. It's a hard word in English, sustainability. So this spot helps you to sustain and to be nourished. It's on the level of the digestion. And digestion is a process to be nourished. And not only the food, your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, but also everything that we experience in life. Actually, it's digesting life. So it helps us to get to be fed by our experiences, by this evening, by this session. Helps us to be nourished by relationship or our work. And don't forget to drop your shoulders. Maybe you can drop your shoulders a little bit more. Dropping our shoulders will help to exhale all the stuff we don't need anymore. It will help us to empty the cup. To empty the cup to receive. So let's move. Now you move your hand, the left hand, which was under your tailbone, and put your left hand on the right fourth rib in the middle, a little bit above the nipple line. And all the safety energy locks are as big as your the palm of your hand, three-dimensional. So very, very easily you touch one of the safety energy locks. So now we have this kind of one hand on the left, one on the right. And this is like if you put a blanket on you, a warm blanket of protection to feel safe. And the safety energy lock above your nipple line is safety energy lock 13. And 13 speaks about forgiveness. Love thy enemies. And that's not only the people outside or the people, the neighbors or the people in another town. It's also our own enemies, our pains, shame, the feeling to not be good enough, And by placing our hand there, we can heal this. So don't forget the smile in your heart. You don't have to push, just place gently your hands on those spots, on those safety energy locks that will help the energy moving. So the spot, the safety energy lock above the nipple line, Philomena, one of our senior teachers, would say above the male nipple line. And that spot is really the place where we can heal the inner child. Become mild and soft. And this is like a warm blanket. So when you have the feeling that you have been long enough under that comforting blanket, you open it and you move your left hand to the left side. So now we have both hands on the same side. So my left hand is under my left collarbone and it's a quite big area. So feel if you can find a spot which is maybe painful and just stay there. You don't have to push or to pull. Very gently. And this spot is safety energy lock 22. It's a very important energy lock, which is like a central station. You know, a central station where all the trains go through from one side to the other side. So this spot is very important because we have a left and a right one. And we have 72,000 body functions which flow through this spot. Am I right, Terry?
That's right.
Wonderful. So also on your 22, not only on my 22. So 22, 72,000 on the left side and 72,000 on the right side. Yes, so many functions flow through the 22. And the 22 is going to help us to adapt. It's going to help us to adapt to food, to situations, and another environment. You know, when we move from one season to the other season, I don't know where you are in the world, but in my little world here in the Netherlands, in this little Dutch country, we are moving now into fall, autumn. And yeah, doing the spleen flow is helping you to move from one season to the other season. So So let's tell a little bit more about the spleen flow. The spleen flow is the flow which is very comforting, nourishing. Sometimes I say it's like the mother milk, the milk of the mother, which is full of love. And this is what the spleen flow is a lullaby, is feeling safe and peaceful, helps to become mild to others and to ourselves. And the spleen flow is very much connected to sweets. For people who have a strong longing for chocolate or cake and all this kind of repertoire. So the spleen flow, when we long for a lot of sugar, it tells a little bit about a spleen flow who would like to be energized. Yes, the spleen flow also helps our immune system and helps the production of the white leukocytes, the white blood cells. Yeah, thank you, Terry. Yeah, the spleen flow. It's a wonderful flow. You can give yourself a spleen flow. And I know that Terry is teaching self-help classes in Scottsdale. And maybe you can find someone close to where you live who is teaching self-help. And Mary has written wonderful self-help books, Self-Help 1, Self-Help 2, Self-Help 3. And in the Self-Help 1, you can find the spleen flow. Well, I think the time is over. Okay, last thing. If you don't have the time to do the whole spleen flow, what you can do is holding your thumb, the left one or the right one. And it is also going to help indirectly the spleen flow. So Terry, thank you everyone for joining. And Terry, do you want to?
Thank you. I don't know about everybody else until I read all the comments. Oh yeah, I think everyone really enjoyed it.
Oh, wonderful!
I did. I mean, yeah, I see some very beautiful comments here.
I also
wonderful keeps coming up, and enchanting. Yeah, that's a good word, I think, enchanting. I did totally love the way you brought us into the spleen energy, from the pictures, the nurturing, the comforting. Yeah, enchantment. Thank you, Leslie. That's a perfect word.
Thank you, Leslie.
Yeah, a very good description. And so those of you at this time, I mean, you may be living in Alaska or Arizona, the 2 A's, or anywhere where, you get extremes of temperature. Nurture yourself with the spleen flow.
Exactly.
Get the solar power balanced out. And that whole connection with the earth is so important at this time. And this was a perfect flow, I think, for everybody. And I loved how you connected it to the fact that the spleen flow kind of gently, well, you didn't use these words, but my words, connects us to the next season. It's like it's that underlying earth, what do they call it? Indian summer. It's always there. The earth is with us, moving us to the next cycle. So I had to, fight a bit to keep myself awake. Being born in June, end of June, in terms of astrology, the spleen flow is my constitutional flow. And so I think it was telling me I needed to do this because my body was like lapping it up, Yes, yes.
And you know, Terry, maybe one more thing is that in the Middle Age, they said that the sun lives in the spleen. And every time we do the spleen flow, we connect with that sun energy. And we can absorb vitamin D, the D
Oh,
vitamin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, that was excellent. I mean, if you had any need to get a wonderful insight into the spleen flow and all its qualities, I don't know how you could best that personally. And so thank you, Ava. And everybody, a replay is going to be available in about 48 hours from now. So you'll be able to go back and experience how Ava presented, how she led us through this flow once more. And I encourage you, new people and experienced people, because this was a very engaging as well as enchanting spleen flow. I think Ava showed us that she has thoroughly embodied this flow. So that was beautiful. We're a little short on time. I can just quickly, if you want to hang around, Ava, I just quickly tell anybody who's on still what's going on in the Jin Shin Jyutsu world, because as I said, from after October the 1st, this is going to be it for Harmonize to Energize every Wednesday. So the program will be a combination of presenters like Ava from around the world, bringing to us, sharing with us their stories, and if they wish, introducing some practices for us as well. And we'll kind of have that blend now as we go on forward, because that's what the Friday was really all about, just the practicing self-help. So now we blend them. Okay, quiet, Terry. Let's just turn the screen share. Let's have a quick look here. In the Jin Shin Jyutsu world, continuing the 7th class beginning this Friday of the organic conversations with instructors Sarah, Maria, and Jill. This is your online study group around the world that we are promoting here. But of course, there are study groups in different parts of the world. Ava has one herself. This has already begun, so it's actually completed the 9 months of creation. But this brings us to another point. All these classes are available as replays, so you can purchase them by clicking on these different links for whatever the subject matter you're looking for. Click on a link and you'll see all the different webinars that have taken place and are recorded. So that's what's going on in the Jin Shin Jyutsu world per se. And I don't know, Ava, did you want to say anything about your study groups or anyone who's from the Netherlands or just your Zoom groups or anything? No?
I have several times a week Zoom. I help practitioners in the study, and I just want to thank you, Terry, for organizing this.
Oh,
and
you're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. You are inspiring so many people.
Well, I think it's just so nourishing and nurturing to connect as many people as we can with all the different practitioners, instructors, all the way around the globe. Maybe one day we'll catch those on the moon and in other planets. But right now, we'll stay grounded in the spleen earth energy. But it's my honor and pleasure to connect with all the different practitioners around the world. Ava, I've known a fair few years, but there's it's wonderful to reconnect again and see what each of our colleagues are presenting, what they've embodied. I learned so much from each of the presenters, and I hope you too, the rest of you do too. There's always something new. Jin Shin is this infinite journey, I believe. The creator's art. The creator, does the creator ever stop creating?
No.
Good question. So here we are. And thank you once more, Ava. The recording available soon. Bless you all. Take care. Stay safe. Auf Wiedersehen. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
What would you say?
In the Netherlands is tot ziens.
What was that?
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens. Oh.
Tot ziens. Okay.
Yeah. Well, tot ziens, everybody, and it was a pleasure and honor.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and see everybody that's registered on Friday, 2 p.m. New York time. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care, Terry, and everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.